Dread?
Yes.
Is that you?
Hello.
Hello.
Yep. Hello, this is Dread.
We had a Discord call, and we talked about whether Last Epoch is too difficult. You published a video. It has like a sensible number of views on it. It has 3,500 views.
It's like 4,500 right now on my side.
It also has 100 comments, which is a lot of comments relative to the number of views. I'm shocked at how much engagement is on this video. So the question was, is Last Epoch too difficult? And we like content, so we're going to read the YouTube comments. Yeah, baby, reaction content. Okay, so why are we reading this? Give me some history.
So we are reading all of these because a large majority of them, unfortunately, were like, before watching the video, these are my thoughts. So essentially what I have accidentally done is I've caused a little bit of a social experiment. There's so many people just telling us their thoughts on if Last Epoch is too difficult or not, because they just commented without actually watching the video. So there's a lot of just generic thoughts on like, how does the community think about this, right? Because we obviously know Last Epoch is not too difficult, right?
But you say that, but apparently there's people in the comments who say it is too difficult.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're going to be reading some of these, because it's just interesting. I saw a few of them. So we're going to skip over Frozen because Frozen's fine.
Yeah, skip Frozen.
We're going to skip Frozen here. So we can just go down these, okay?
If your comments get read, it's not because you're a good person or a bad person. You're a content person. We're reacting.
Right. Just remember, this is an answer to, is Last Epoch too difficult? Okay.
No pressure. No pressure.
The random one shots, even at high armor, ward, and resists, are what drive me nuts. What do you think about that, Perry?
So I played a lot of hardcore in the past, but I played a lot of hardcore before 1.0 when the server authoritative stuff happened. So I was playing offline at the time. And my impression of the random one-shots in Last Epoch is that hardcore in LE was very fair, because you would die to things that you knew that you were getting into a dangerous situation. And if you really wanted to run away and cower, you'd be able to. I never felt like random one-shots were the thing that was causing me trouble. And I think this is my same impression right now, that that your character, if your character's squishy, your character's squishy, and it's just a problem that you're deciding not to solve.
Yep, we did actually talk about that in the video, which was funny. All right, next comment. I pretty much agree with you on the same thing here. So
good, done.
Second comment. Problem I've had is 90% of the game is easy enough to use any build. Then you get to your first real challenge after 20 hours, say, then realize your build sucks.
I have an opinion on this.
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I was talking about this yesterday with my Twitch chat, and I would bet that this person is saying 20 hours in, casual, clear speed, whatever, and they're fighting their first Harbinger. Or their first the skinny Harbinger.
The Lagan one.
Or the Lagan Harbinger. Yeah. We're so the Harbingers, they represent a spike in boss difficulty, boss damage, and boss health. And boss difficulty is kind of a hybrid matrix of those things, but they do a little bit more damage, a bit more damage, a little bit more dangerous than the other boss that's there, but they're also 10 times tankier, which means that there's a lot of room for you to make a mistake. Right?
Oh, yeah. You end up spending a very large amount of time fighting them.
Yeah, and you need to focus the entire time. You can't just zone out by accident or lose interest, because everything else in the game has been pretty easy up until that point. And after 20 hours or so, just the fact that they say 20 hours makes me think this is a comment about Harbingers. And Harbingers are weird because they're so fucking tanky, unless you're playing a busted ass build. And I don't mean a good build, I mean a busted build.
Oh yeah, for sure. So my opinion on this is I do agree that some parts of the early game was a little too easy. I think a good example is your normal monoliths, right? I'll compare some of the kill times that I have with the normal monolith enemies, and then I'll get to empowered, and then I'll compare times, and it's such a drastic difference in
Yeah.
difficulty in general. In terms of, like, for instance, like normal mono Lagan is like significantly less difficult than empowered Lagan by multiple magnitudes, because he enters this like amount of damage that most things will stun you. So you have to be
You know
very
what? I've
careful.
got another thought about this. So I was watching a dev stream, 10 years ago with Mike playing, and he said something that I think resonates. He said something that I think echoes what a new player might think, especially if they're coming over from Path of Exile, which is like, I just did my level 75 Echo. Should I go to the 85 Echo, which is plus 10 levels, or should I go to the level 80 Echo instead? Or if they're in level 90 Echoes, I think this is this is the words that came out of Mike's mouth. It was something along the lines of like, am I ready for Empowered yet? Or should I, like, he just unlocked Empowered, it's like he was ready to go. Or should I go back and farm another level 90 mono again in order to prepare better for level 100? And you and I would never in a million years consider farming another level 90 after unlocking level 100. You would just go do Empowered, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So when you said like the early game is too easy, I think the monoliths, like the first 5 whatever monoliths that you do, they don't really increase in difficulty. It's kind of like a static difficulty that whole time. Like, your character is getting stronger much faster than the content is getting harder, right?
Yeah, the only jumps in difficulty I ever see is not in terms of the stats of the monsters and how tinky they are, but in terms of what kind of monsters you're fighting.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see a steeper difficulty curve between like the first 5 monos, like going from the level 55 up to like the 85.
Yeah,
I would like to see that.
Just a little bit more, just so it's a little bit more normal.
Yeah,
right?
because I agree with them.
All right, this one, I just thought this one was funny.
Pause? Yeah, pause would be nice.
Well, because, you're talking about
Dad gamer stuff. Dad gamer.
I wouldn't say it's too terribly difficult / complex, but it does have this amazing ability to humble me when I'm least expecting it. Oh, you mean when you walk into a monolith and there's 20 diamond matrons in front of you? Yeah.
It's this tricky thing, and like, again, this reminds you of like playing hardcore. When you walk into an echo that has like really toxic monster types, it's like, on the one hand, like, I could just leave. And I know Dread just leaves because he, doesn't have the same kind of fun in this game that I do. But like, I walk into a really toxic echo and I'm like, fuck, I wish there was a reason to do this. I wish there was any reason to do this echo. And sometimes most of the time I just do it anyways because they're really, really fun. And like, dying is fun too.
Oh, if I'm pushing to like empowered monos, I won't do it. But if I'm like actually in empowered monos, I'll actually do it, because there's odds are things will actually drop, right? It's just so in normal monoliths, you just don't want to be in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this one's interesting. I started last week, put in a ton of hours, and got to Corruption 300 as a crit Shatterstrike Spellblade before putting it aside. The game is generally very easy, but it can feel very hard sometimes because enemy damage is all over the place. Obviously, biggest one is the monos are easy, so you feel like your damage and bulk are good. Then you go up against a Shade or a
Harbinger, yup,
and realize your damage is garbage and your survivability is garbage. So I think what's happening here for him, I'll probably we'll read the rest in a second, but we'll parse it in chunks. So I think what's going on is he's playing like a very like low EHP like Shatterstrike build, and he's just trying to kill stuff quickly. And most of the game isn't balanced around just like ZHP build, right? Where you just try to do as much damage as possible. But then he, hits, the Harbingers, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, they're not dying immediately. And he gets one tapped immediately because he doesn't have the defenses set up for it. So that's interesting. What do you think about that part?
Totally agree. I'm reading the next sentence as well. He says, sometimes you still get one shot even in monos, especially from a dot. This reminds me of the conversation that we had after the Gazi interview when they were talking about reducing the scaling
damage over time.
The damage over time scaling from corruption. And you pointed out that this is a buff to ward. One of the first couple builds that I played in last Epoch was a Spellblade proccing Lightning Blast a whole bunch of times, back when Lightning Blast was something worthwhile to proc. That build was super fun for me to play. It had like a relatively low ward number, but it was still fun, like while in combat. And I remember one of the people that was in chat they described my build as like tanky until it's not, or like ward is good until it's not. And when you have low armor, like they probably have low armor, right? Like they're relatively like new to the game.
Yeah.
They probably have like low armor. They're only corruption 300. They're playing a spell blade. They're playing, you know, like they probably have a very squishy build, but they probably generate like, you know, 3,000-4,000 ward while they're fighting stuff. And like that number looks good because it's much higher than the amount of HP that you have. But if you had 3,000 or 4,000 HP, you'd be significantly tankier than this person, right? And like,
of course.
yeah, and you know the ward dwindles down. They walk in damage over time. They die. Like, yep, that's what it is.
Yep. Another thing that's interesting to me that I've noticed since I've fought so many Harbingers in a row, I actually have thoughts on this part. Also, mechanically, some slow telegraph boss attacks do no damage, and you think that you're okay, but then the boss does another slow attack, and this one-shots you. So you never know what to expect. So I actually have a direct answer to this.
Tell me.
It's because certain boss abilities either hit twice or 3 times without your knowledge. Like, for instance, you know the slow Harbinger, the fat one?
I just died to this recently.
There's a fat Harbinger in the Fall of the Outcast one where he hits you with the slam, then hits you with the fire wave. And if you sit right on his nuts, he only hits you with the slam, but not the fire wave, or other way around, right? But if you're standing just a smidgen in front of him,
yeah, like 6 to 8 inches in front of his nuts. Yeah,
yep,
that's the worst place to be.
Both, and you will die because of it. And that's not very communicated. You don't know that there's double hits on things. Like, for instance, the wave, when he does the slam and does the wave, that has the same thing.
Yeah.
The best way to face tank that kind of stuff is just literally be right on top of him.
Or behind him. Or
yeah,
or not face tank it. Like, you could just move.
Yeah. Then there are some fast attacks that require fairly twitchy reaction that will one-shot you, some female Harbingers. That will make you wonder why you're building bulk anyway if you're expected to no-hit kill the boss anyways. I feel that way about the female Harbingers. What do you think?
I agree with female Harbingers. I did a Sentinel run through the Harbingers recently as like an SSF start to do some practice. And I was just kind of yeah, and I was just kind of like seeing how far I can go on autopilot. Like, what are the problems that I need to fix? And one of the problems that I needed to fix, and this is going to be Sentinel specific, so it's not for this person in particular, but maybe there's some tangents, or maybe there's some parallels. What I realized after taking like a 9-month break from last Epoch is that I had forgotten to prioritize base types. And for Sentinel, if you're not using the right endgame base types, it means that you're lacking a ton of flat armor because your helmet has 550, which is astronomical, and the body armor has 700 flat armor. So like my armor value was like 1,700 or something, which is pretty low. And once I made changes and upgraded my gear and farmed for like 15 minutes or so, just like to get the right base types, even without having particularly good gear, I went up to like 3,500 armor. It's like, yeah, like base types matter. Like this could be something that this person is overlooking here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of really good mage base types, like the ones that critical strike avoid cap you easily. Like, there's a lot of good mage base types currently.
I'm on board with complaining about our Harbingers, by the way.
Yeah,
I wonder how many of these comments are just like, yeah, you just died to a Harbinger.
it's interesting what I've been reading so far. All right, so remember in the video we were talking specifically about Torment Warlock because the whole reason I made this video in the first place, and I pulled Perry on to talk about it, is because Torment Warlock is not a hard build, right? We can agree on that. It's a very easy build, right? It's like
yes. It's been nerfed in terms of damage, but like it's still very good. It's very easy to play. It doesn't one-shot monsters, but like it always gets the job done, and it gives you time to like maneuver around.
And that specific last part you just mentioned, the part about being able to maneuver around monsters, allows you to just be tankier than you normally would be.
It's a different kind of tankiness because you're very mobile.
Now, the reason why I brought all this up was because I kept getting people telling me about Torment Warlock. My Torment Warlock is like squishy. And then I look at their gear, and their gear is just fine. they'll have better gear than I would have had at that point of progression, like constantly, just every single time. And I'm like, oh, is it because they're just not playing it properly? And I don't know, because I can't ask them to record their gameplay and show it to me.
You could.
I can't see. Yeah, I can't see everything. Right. I can't see everything. So I've been just trying to figure out.
And like maybe that's something that you just like say get good. Or like you and I talked about, you could say like, hey, go back and watch my VOD of when I'm playing Torment Warlock and see how I play the character.
Yeah,
because the character
I have to do a Torment Warlock 0 to hero.
Well, the character has the tools available. It's just a question of like, is the person making use of those tools? Do they understand that they have those tools available?
Yeah, before we get into that, we can talk about this here. So Torment Warlock was the only build I was able to complete and do all the content except Cremoris tier 4, which is understandable because you don't have that much DPS as Torment Warlock early on, so Cremoris could kill you before you deal with him. Cremoris is pretty much kill him before he kills you right now. Mechanically, I'd say the game is pretty good and satisfying. My complaints are thus: stash and search riddled with bugs and missing base functions. Sure. COF experience is a cruel joke compared to MG. True. Melee is weak unless insane and perfect drop slams. I don't necessarily agree with this, but it's fine. If you don't know what you're doing, yeah, Melee's gonna feel ass. Too many fixes on 3 different slots and less than half are actually useful. Sure. Slams. I don't know. This one's just kind of funny. This one's this comment's just kind of funny. They're actually apparently they keep teasing that they're going to be fixing this last part.
Slams and LP system are too punishing, especially for for COF. They're going to fix that.
Apparently, they're doing something to alleviate that issue. That's
wasn't there a Judd Reddit comment?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's like fine. It's like whatever. I've not tried Warlock yet, but I have felt similar frustrations. My reflexes were bad when I was young, and I'm no longer young, and I'm usually only playing in the late night hours.
Me too, buddy.
The biggest thing for me is that the damage of telegraphed effects in general goes from dangerous to one taps midway through monoliths. Before we continue, what do you think about that specific part?
I don't agree.
I mean, the pretty obvious ones, maybe. It depends. Also, it depends on what class you're playing. Like, if you're playing a rogue, yeah, Lagan will one-tap you with his fist. Like, that will happen.
It might be an instance of, like, not upgrading your gear along the way. Because, like, the difficulty progression in monoliths is very slow relative to how fast your character improves. And, like, as an experienced player, I often find myself, like, upgrading my character, like, around level 40 or so. And then just like going until level 70 where I realized like, oh man, my gear kind of sucks. Well, yeah, I probably could have upgraded it at level 50 and level 60 and level 70, but I just didn't. So maybe this person is getting stuck halfway in between, right?
Yeah. So what's interesting, I found interesting is that the next part is also, it's not very clear what can be done gear-wise to mitigate it. Yes, tighter play can mitigate it, but I openly admit that I suck. I am willing to put in the time to suffer through it if I feel like as though I am on the path to resolution. If I find myself in similar situations in PoE1, I'm still building currency, and there is an upgrade I can get with enough saving that can deal with the problems through gear. So that's actually interesting to me because that's actually true. In Path of Exile, you could do, like, if you're having a problem, you could just go and farm. But in Last Epoch, that option doesn't exist as easily. Because when you're in normal monoliths and your build sucks, sure, you're gaining favor, but are you gaining favor fast enough to go buy items off the market?
Are you thinking about this in a post-empowered or pre-empowered?
Pre-empowered. Like,
okay,
if
you're thinking pre-empowered, gotcha.
Pre-empowered, and even if you have access to your factions, are you really gaining favor fast enough to quote unquote fix the problem? Because like what he's trying to say is I suck at the game, right? And I usually fix that by just getting better gear by over farming. But can you actually do that?
I mean, I wouldn't think that favor is part of this conversation if you're going pre-empowered.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is like you that's what I mean is like it isn't part of the conversation.
Sure.
That's
okay.
the point, right? That's what I mean is like you don't have access to that, so all you can do is just do normal monoliths again and again. And I can safely say that like that doesn't like from what I have seen and how I felt, if you have a build that can't get through the normal monoliths, there's a problem. There's a huge problem. Like there's a gigantic problem with your build, right? In general, right? Whether it be how you're playing, how your build feels. What do you think about that?
Agreed. The times when I felt like this, I would just like clear extra monsters in each echo looking for extra drops. Like you don't I it feels weird to say this. You don't slow down during normal monoliths. You just keep going in a straight line. Like you never really farm.
Yeah.
Right? You like
kill stuff on the way if you can, if it's convenient.
But but like you don't like if I cleared the level 85 mono, I'm not gonna keep doing the 85 mono. Like I go to the level 90 and I just hope that the problem fixes itself. This makes me think like maybe a loot filter is an issue here. Like maybe they're not looking for enough things. Maybe their loot filters and highlighting things for them. Maybe they're hiding too much. I don't know. Like I get it. I understand the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe like prioritizing the right affixes on your gear.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thing I thought of because like I was like reading this. I'm just like, if you can't get through normal monos, like at least in my opinion, the gear grind, in my opinion, doesn't even start until empowered monos. Like before normal, you just put on before empowered, you just put on whatever you can, and then at that point, I just upgrade by just dropping exalted items.
Yeah, so. Like you're not looking for like the right affixes. You're just looking for something.
Yeah.
At that point
so
in
that's
time.
Interesting.
Okay.
It certainly doesn't help that my preferred builds are usually melee, and stacking up dodging 2 mob groups with telegraphed attacks plus spire shooting stuff across the map while trying to stay in DPS range all just gets frustrating after a while. I actually talked about this in my Discord.
Go on.
I think Last Epoch has a flaw that I've noticed over the past 4 years I've played it. Whenever I play Path of Exile, in the beginning, it's a little bit of a struggle, right? You know, you get your gear, get to, first time you get to red maps, it's a little annoying, but then you get some gear and then red maps are fine. And then you go and do juice red maps. And then that time it's a little annoying, but then you get better gear and then it's a fine time. And then you can kind of like get to this point where I call like relaxed gameplay. You're just farming and turning your brain off and relaxing. Last Epoch never gets to that point for me because whenever I'm playing, I always have so much anxiety because of just the way that enemies are designed in Last Epoch, where there is like constant, like there are some monoliths where you walk in and you'll like walk for like a few seconds, right? And then immediately you have like 5 green circles under you that are off screening you. And even with all of the nerfs that they've given, it still hasn't really helped it that much, in my opinion. It does. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I do. I'm going to read a Twitch chat comment, though. Someone said, I thought that's why we liked Last Epoch, because it demands an actual amount of brain power.
So
I don't disagree, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's like the problem is like you'll go from like Diablo 4, right? Where that is literally the entire game. Or you go from PoE where you can farm a bunch and then get into that relaxed state of gameplay, because you can just farm tier 1 maps for currency and do the chaos recipe. Then all of a sudden you have enough currency to put gear on to make up for the lack of skill, right? Last Epoch, like you could do that, but it would take a while. Like normal monos aren't that good for like dropping gear in general, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's hard because I want to answer this person's question, but I also want to talk about like game design. No, like I wonder like it's a problem to solve, right? Like action RPGs are all about like there's a problem, you can solve it. There's a problem, you can solve it. Like your character's too squishy, you can solve it. Your character doesn't have enough crit chance, you can solve it. Like your character feels like it's too slow, go get some more movement speed. Like problem and then a problem solving, and then like how does that feel in the gameplay, whatnot. And like if everything's too hectic, and like I need to keep dodging these things. I wish I could just walk in a straight line. I wish I could just auto bomb. I wish I could just have Herald of Ice pop up the entire screen. Like we don't have the solutions to that. Like blowing up literally blowing up the entire screen. Like I know we make jokes about it, but like literally doing that isn't really a thing in Last Epoch. If it were a thing, I wonder how we would feel about that game.
I wouldn't like it per se. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually like Last Epoch for that, but my problem with it is you never get to that point because of the fact of how corruption works. Because for me, I'm always pushing. I'm always pushing because, like, you know, if I'm not showing gameplay at the tippity top of like performance, then like, in my opinion, I'm not doing a good job,
Mm.
right? Like, if I'm not doing like 700 plus 1,000 corruption with a character I've been playing for a few days using Merchant's Guild, I feel like ass.
Mm-hmm.
It feels awful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a failure of a build, right? So I'm always pushing the limits of my characters, and I'm never in that point where you feel in Path of Exile where you're just like sitting there relaxed and just farming. And I think that like other people feel that way too, but in like lower amounts of progression because they're just not, not as like experienced with the game. And I think that might be part of it too, at least in my
Sure.
opinion.
I don't want to like harp on this person. Like they said, like they like melee builds. Like I wonder
Oh,
which
I
melee
know.
builds. Like are they playing
Yeah.
Vengeance? Because like
It just brings up a good point.
there
I was
are
just
there.
curious
So
about it.
someone else said like your builds either like terrible or OP. Like a couple comments up, we were like highlighting a comment like that, and I don't disagree with that. Like there are some garbage melee skills, and like if you play them right or if you play the right skills, then yeah, melee feels good. But like there's some garbage out there, and like you and I know, like okay, maybe you don't play it, but like yeah, I mean I understand that.
Yeah. It's just interesting. Well, we'll move on from this one because this
Okay.
one's like just a bunch of stuff. Uh do, 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 do. This one, too easy. It's not engaging. Sure, that's good. No, that one's like whatever. Oh, this one is a good one. I like this one. Another point to consider. I like to play chaotic builds that fill the screen with flashy abilities, which means I almost never see the dot pools or meteor signals. It starts to become a problem once I reach empowered monos, and these things become a one shot without any counterplay. I agree with this. The visibility of the things on the ground while I'm also putting things on the
Mm-hmm.
ground. Meteor,
I've
right?
I've I've definitely avoided my own abilities a good number of times in last epoch.
Like it does get a little spammy
Yep.
even now, and it's because like in PoE you didn't have to worry about opponents throwing gigantic meteors at you for the most part.
Yeah, but like
Like there were
those
some.
gigantic meteors in last epoch are some of the most dangerous things. Like you have to avoid them.
Exactly,
You
yeah,
you
like
never
have
you
to
never
avoid them.
outscale that. You never outscale dodging the red circle on the ground.
Yeah, which I don't think is bad, but it definitely makes it so that if they want us to take that seriously and not laugh about it and like chide it, they need to make it so we can actually see those abilities, right?
Okay. I
Like that's
I don't
how
know
I
what the
feel about
solution
it.
is, but yeah, I mean I agree with you. It's a
Well,
problem.
the solution, a lot of other games have this solution where you can actually turn down your skill effects, where like you can like have a slider of opacity for your skill effects. I've seen that work pretty well, especially for games like Torchlight and stuff, where you can like have a slider where you
I
turn down the
I
opacity of
I
your
want to
effects.
see. Are you gonna play SWD next patch?
No, I'm
You're
not.
not.
No,
I
no.
I wanna like interview some content creator who plays ASWD. Oh, you know who I want? You know who I want to talk to? I want to talk to
Who's
like
that?
Trickster or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy who only fucking plays marksman. Yeah,
I mean,
we
Marksman has all these
yeah,
problems, like
yeah, and
for
more. But
sure.
like, I want to talk to someone who like exclusively plays ASWD because like surely he's going to, right?
Yeah,
Eh.
just interesting. Uh,
Someone said,
this one
"What's
is.
ASWD?" Oh, I assume you're not memeing, but like I don't know, WASD. There's gonna be
I,
ASWD control in patch 1.2.
I like how Judd said it. WASD.
WASD? No one calls it WASD. I call it ASWD, but sue me, whatever.
All right, here's a good one. When it comes to the whole this build is good, but new players might not understand why, I think this is something ARPGs need more of when it comes to beginner content. Frozen Sentinel's
Oh.
video explaining the mechanics of Frostclaw and why it's so good made me want to cycle start it before I saw Heartseeker because of how easy it was to see and understand where the power of the skill comes from. If more build guides took the time to start to explain the main skill or intent of the build, like I do in every video, um, and showed its offensive or defensive mechanics, like I do in every video, to help beginners understand why they might want to play the build, I think it would help new players a lot. Uh, it's it's interesting because like I do this, but I don't think people care that I do it. It's kind of interesting. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agreed. It's a good comment.
Yeah, I agree. It is a good comment.
And like
It's just like
I think the other day I was talking about like OP builds, and we use the word OP colloquially, but we don't really describe why it's OP. Like some builds are OP because you can face tank everything. Some builds are OP because they have enough damage and you're allowed to wander around like Sonic Fissure. Some builds are OP because they have crazy single target damage. Like they're OP for different reasons, right? Yeah, like this
yeah.
build is good, but new players might not understand why. And like especially calling out Frozen Sentinel, like Sentinel did, Frozen Sentinel, whatever you want to call him. He did a great job on his videos, and like all of his videos have like a lot of care that's gone into them. So
Yeah.
shout out to him.
It's just interesting because like I've never felt like my videos lacked that per se. It's just like the problem is like some of them are decently long, I guess. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know.
You had to lead
But
with
there's
that.
there's no good way of
I'm sure
fixing
this
it.
is a personal attack on you, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
of course, totally. Yeah, of course. All right. Just fought the Harbingers. I just fought the Harbingers for the first time after coming back from
Yes.
a long break.
Yes.
Had about 800 hours
Yes.
pre 1.0.
Yes.
And my first thought was, man, these dudes are tanky as fuck. Also, if you come to LE from D4, you probably experience a big jump up in mechanical difficulty. And if you come from PoE, it's likely somewhat of a step down depending on the builds you played and how far into the end game that you went.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Totally agree.
It's like the Harbingers. It's so weird because like I fought them enough now that I don't care, but I definitely felt this way when they first came in.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who play this game who haven't just killed 190 Harbingers in a row.
Oh yeah, I would assume.
I would say that the majority of people didn't spend the past 2 months killing 190 Harbingers in a row.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's funny. It says Dad Gamer.
Dad Gamer.
So, as a dad gamer myself and someone who's played both D4 and LE, I think one of the biggest differences is the content in D4 is meant to be beat by every build, whereas while you can, in Last Epoch, switching out a skill to make the fight much easier. The first thing that comes to mind is having a movement ability against Lugan, especially at higher corruption. LE does a great job letting you swap stuff on the fly, but I don't know if the game always communicate that. Yeah, I've had this issue a lot. So for instance, one of my favorite ways of playing Spellblade right now is to use Flame Reeve for clear, and then use Surge for single target. And I'll like mention that, and people are like, "Wait, you can do that?" it's something interesting.
So
And
wait,
they
do you have both of them spec'd all the time?
Yeah, I have both of them spec'd all the time.
Sure, okay.
I just move them in the bar because I'll have like
Oh,
an
gotcha.
unspecialized teleport or something.
Oh, sure. Okay, I like that.
And the thing that's interesting about it is like not many people understand that you can do this, and not many people want to do this. And Last Epoch has definitely done their like they've done a lot of effort to make it so people don't want to do this. Like for instance, how the plus levels work and all that, right? Like trying to like pull out like weapon swap, right? Like for instance, I'm sure like I've done a few builds now for the 10 out of 10 Harbinger runs where I've swapped out weapons. Like for instance, I was playing like a Infernal Shade Warlock, and I was swapping out my Ghostmaker, which casts Infernal Shade on kill, which was really good for clear. I would swap that out for an item that just gave me better damage for single target. And I don't think people have really wrapped their mind around this part. Like you can do that. You're allowed to change your weapon if you want to.
Two thoughts on this. First of all, are there really people out there who are playing this game without a movement skill?
I mean, that's why they put Evade in the game. Apparently, EHG thinks so.
Well, they said the first thing that comes to mind is having movement skill, especially against Lygan on a higher difficulty. Like, are people? Yes.
Yeah.
People. Twitch chat says yes. People do this. That's lunacy.
Who play with like 5 minions on their bar without Dread Shade. Like I've seen it before, constantly. Yeah. Yeah, like I've seen it all the time. Yeah.
So that's wild to me. My second.
That's why they added Evade in the first place. By the way.
Is it? I mean.
Yeah, no, that's literally what they said. They said
because they want to have a baseline of difficulty or baseline of movement.
Well, they wanted it because they were designing bosses that without movement skills would be very difficult to kill. And
well, yeah, but like I thought when they said without movement skill, I thought they meant sentinels with lunge.
No,
is that not what they meant? Did they mean literally without?
Mm-hmm. All 5 skills on their bar, not a movement skill. That is what they meant.
Huh.
Yeah.
My other thought, I'm going to move on from this. Holy moly. My other thought is I do feel that. So I just looked this up, so I keep saying it. 3.5 years been playing this game. I feel as though as time goes on, I'm more and more willing to, and I'm also more and more looking for the opportunities to do swaps for boss single target damage. And like I've had so many videos sent to me by people who are showing off their DPS against bosses because A, I like seeing them, and B, people love flexing how good their single target damage is. And all these videos, a lot of them start with like them walking into the boss arena and swapping out 2, 3, 4, 9 pieces of gear, including idols. Like, people do this, and I should do this more. And I guess the rest of people who are listening to this should probably consider looking for ways to swap out single target stuff. Like, you can't do weapon swaps, but you can do idol swaps. You can do boot swaps. You can do weapon swaps. I don't know.
You can even do plus level swaps if you really want to.
Big mood.
Like, for instance, there's like a few skills where you unspecialize a skill. Turns out you do like 3 to 4 times the damage. You just don't do any single target. Like, a good example is a lightning blast. A lightning blast, if you unspec out of the chain node, out of the chain to the same target node, all of a sudden it becomes a decent clear skill.
True.
But then you set it back in, it's a good single target. It's just people don't want to do this because it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, I've done like boot swaps, but pretty frequently, and I think boot swaps are like super easy to do. I like that.
Yeah, it's just interesting how it's changed over the years. Also, I think D4 builds in such a way that face tanking without any real mechanical skill is viable in that game, and it just isn't in last Epoch.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So I agree with this too. If you really want to face tank things, you can, but you're going to deal no damage, and then you're going to feel bad, right? There's not many ways of being immortal while also doing a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm. There's not enough complexity in this game compared to like Path of Exile, for example. Like, you can't have both. There's like Rebuke, I guess. You could just be a Rebuke gamer, but like don't.
That's actually a good thing to see in the Twitch chat. Honestly, if you need to swap gear or respec, unless it's like the first boss skill, build goes into the trash bin. I will disagree with that. Because the problem is you would just want to speed up your boss kill or just make it more convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I don't want to do a minute boss kill. Sometimes I want to do a 30-second boss kill, right? You know what I mean? Like you see how
like, or imagine your boots that have like exalted tier 6 movement speed and no other text on them because that's all you got so far. And then you can swap into a pair of boots that have like life on them for the boss kill. Like, easy peasy, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I feel that way because I feel that because a lot of people don't want to do that, which is understandable, right? But then, you can have your longer boss kills if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. You have the choice, right? Can confirm that Harbingers are a real boot in the butt when it comes to encouraging players to fix their single target DPS.
Probably a good thing. Probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
So I think over the last few years before the Harbingers went, good single target DPS was never a thing that most people cared about. We care about it, obviously, but like your average Joe, it doesn't matter that their Jurla takes like 4 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter to them. But I think this is the first time in LE where your single target DPS has mattered because the Harbingers, like, they're no joke, man. They're real bosses. They're real, like, in my opinion, I would put them like in the middle ground between like a PoE like Guardian fight and like a PoE like Pinnacle fight. I would put them in the middle somewhere around there because they're more difficult, significantly more difficult than like a PoE Guardian fight, but they're not as difficult as their own individual Pinnacle boss, but they're definitely like somewhere in the middle there for sure.
We've been talking for 39 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We've encountered a lot of people who have good, valid complaints about Harbingers.
Yep. We can skip all the other ones. Yeah,
well, that's fine. I'm impressed. Sometimes you pull out comments that look like they were written by someone who hasn't played Last Epoch. And I wanna allot you the possibility of pulling something up from the sort by controversial column. Is there something like that? Because like a lot of these are like, yeah, Harbingers are frustrating.
let me go
like
down. Let
we
me
could
roll
keep
through them.
talking about how frustrating they are. Because I agree. I don't want to call it the garbage bin, but like, is there?
I can go find the.
Is there a
bin.
No, it's not a garbage bin. It is not a garbage bin. But is there a controversial take?
I'd have to look again. I think there were a few, but I just gotta like look here.
Last T-Box is user friendly. I made 4 builds. Not too hard.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting this time around. Like usually, my comment section is insanely toxic. So
I don't see toxicity here. I was expecting.
I mean,
to have to muffle my laughter.
Comments. I was like, yeah, there's like 100.
It's like 100 people who say that Harbingers are frustrating. Like, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Oh, here you go. Here you go.
Oh, here's the garbage bin. And please don't take offense to this. And I took that personally. All right, read to me.
Secondly, don't take offense to this because I do you make some good content.
Oh no.
But there is a real shortage of quality build guides and information to this game out there compared to Diablo and PoE.
Oh, pause.
This game
is that
go ahead.
Is that wrong?
Yes and no. There's a lot of bad content for Last Epoch currently. I can tell you that much.
We've had like such a long delay between wait, why'd they say secondly? Why did they start with did this person post two comments?
Some people post like 5 comments in a row sometimes, dude.
Chat, you would never do that, would you?
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have enough room.
Maybe. I was like, what the fuck?
So it's interesting because like how I feel about this is like
I don't disagree.
Not every game is designed for people to let you hold your hand in, right? Like,
go on.
So there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. It's just like, for instance, my stuff, right? It's not hand-holdy. I don't just tell you exactly what to do. It's not a Diablo 4 build guide. I'll tell you that much, right? It's not just like you can do you don't have enough time for that. And I know you don't do that either. You don't handhold people either, right? And I don't think there's that many people that handhold while also providing quality content at the same time. Because there will be some people that do that, but they don't do like quality stuff. But it's just interesting. I think that's mainly what they're trying to get at is like there's just not that much like hand-holdy stuff, which is a good and a bad thing, I guess. Good in terms of like, I don't know, maybe you can just play the game and get better at it, maybe. And maybe bad in the way that it's not good for like Last Epoch's pocketbook. Because in theory, you'd want that to be the case so that they can just make as much money as possible with as many people as possible. Do channel owners see YouTube filtered comments? Yes, I do see them all the time. Most of them are calling me Kermit. So this game isn't that intuitive on how to make skill tree choices and passive tree choices work together to get something really powerful. That's a little bit of a controversial statement. What do you think about that?
I was responding to someone in Twitch chat. You're gonna have to read it again to me.
No, you're good. Okay, so this game isn't that intuitive on how to make skill tree choices and passive tree choices work together to get something really powerful.
This game is not that intuitive on how to make skill tree choices. There's some skill trees that are old and don't guide you in the right way. The newer skill trees do guide you through like what they should be doing, right? So like some of the skills do, some of the skills don't. I guess you need to know what to, the very first thing that I would say to somebody who's asking this question to me, I would say, pop open a skill tree, Control F more, Control F multiplicative, Control F convert. And then I would say, hover your mouse over the nodes that look like diamonds instead of circles, like those hexagon nodes. Because I call them keystones. There's no real name for them because they kind of remind me of keystones from Path of Exile. And like those are like the really influential nodes that alter how a skill is going to work. And like those three pieces of information, the game doesn't tell you to do that, and you don't know to look for more and multiplicative damage unless you're familiar with the style of game, or you've spent half an hour poking around already and you get the gist of it. But like, I guess without that information, yeah, I guess it doesn't help.
Yeah. But also as well, like, isn't that like half the fun? Right?
I would
Like,
say yes, but I'm okay with failing.
yeah. That I guess
I
that's a
make
good
I make a
point,
joke about myself with some frequency on stream, especially when I'm playing like a brand new game for like variety content. And like for better or for worse, I learn by doing things. I don't learn by like reading it. I don't learn by like watching a video about it. I learn by doing it. Like those other things help, but like ultimately I like doing things. I like seeing the mistake and then learning from there. So like I'm pretty okay with like, oh, this thing fucking sucks, but and now I've experienced why it sucks, and I know what the new emotion is and like how bad this feels, and now I'm gonna go fix it. But like
Okay.
if you hate failure, then you're gonna have a real different impression of that.
It's hard to tell where damage comes from and how to improve it and your survivability at times. I rely on detailed guides that help explain how the build works, what choices really affect the damage and survivability the most, what stats and gear can make this work on a budget, what is mid game gear versus end game. I'll be honest, bud, to answer this specific question,
There is no
whatever
me.
fucking drops. Whatever fucking drops. We're for the first day of gameplay, whatever fucking drops, dude. It's like it's really
So you want to know what endgame gear is? Endgame is like the right exalted affix on the right base type. There you go.
yeah.
If you want some shorthand for this, yeah. Because
Yeah,
like
what's that?
your mid game gear. Sorry to like, go back on this. Your
Yeah.
mid game gear is either the right base type or the right exalted affix. That's what your mid game gear is. And if it's not either of those, then it's early game gear. There, done.
First
Like
to
that's
kill Uber
done.
Aberoth won't even be a veteran player. It'll be a sweaty tryhard from PoE. You know that like the first normal Aberoth was like just the last Epoch dude, right? It was just like someone playing from like the Eastern countries with like Falconer, right? I I won't argue about that. Uh, so what stats make the most difference and you to focus on? There are so many uniques in this game, as well as that can be also overwhelming. I don't necessarily need handheld. I don't need handheld, but then he says this too. But
Oh,
whatever.
be nice to them.
I know, but I like having the information to work through and piece together how to make something work based on what I have. You can do that by looking at the game.
Yeah.
Is
So
that yeah?
I'm trying to figure out, like, I feel like I had a conversation with my 3-year-old recently about this, and I forget what it is, so it's not going to be as eloquent, but like just imagine me saying this but like much more eloquently. um you like, you can do it. You can do it, dude. Where's the comment? You deleted it. Let's go back to this guy.
No, I didn't. I didn't delete it.
Oh yeah, Mr. Robbins, like you can do it. You can hold down Alt on a skill and see what the damage effectiveness is. And if you don't know how something works, and you don't know if it hits once or it hits twice, like, go to the dummy. Like, the people who found this out for the first time, they tested it, and they held down Alt, and they read the skill trees, and they read the mastery. Like, if you were without internet and all you had was Last Epoch, right? You're like playing offline mode or something. How would you solve this problem? Like, you can, because other people have. Someone else was the first to solve this as well, right? Like, you got this. Just go read the skills. I know you can do it.
All right, I think we're almost done here, but so the only thing I can think about when people have struggles with builds is because they don't use the right rotation of skills on packs versus bosses. Maybe you can say more about the skill rotation and the interactions in your video so a new player understands how and why the skill works in a certain way. So my answer to this, there's a reason why there's gameplay in the video, no?
Yes.
Can't you tell what buttons I'm pressing on my bar? If you just look at my bar, is that too much to ask
so
for?
you used to do this. You used to say like, oh, you know what? When the damage dummy was in the end of time, you did this in your videos.
Yeah.
You'd say, oh, my common rotation is to like, bone curse and then transplant on top of them, and then I run around using regular in the meantime. Like you used to do this in your videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just interesting because it's just like, I don't know. It like.
It's a good example of how Frozen Central explained literally every detail of how. Okay, listen. Is that good? Is that what you want, people?
Yeah, like
that's a lot of detail.
My problem is like, I don't know, like when my parents, when I was younger,
Go on.
when they told me to go, use the toilet, they didn't show me how to wipe. They just told me to do so, and I just kind of figured it out, like it's kind of just feels like the same thing here. Like if you're playing like for instance, if you're just playing a werebear build, well, first things off, you should probably be in werebear form, right? Probably, I would assume. And then when you're in werebear form, you have a few skills on your bar.
Are you getting salty?
You're watching me use swipe.
I feel like you're getting salty.
I'm getting no. This is just
you're getting frustrated.
I just don't like this mentality of like I need my hand held through almost every single aspect to the point where just like I might as well just reach through the computer screen and play the game for them, right? Like I might as well remote desktop into their computer and just play the game for them. Does that make any sense?
Things like this in a kind of a tangent way remind me of when I talk about loot filters with new players.
Wait a moment. Is that no lifing? Just playing the game? Is that no lifing?
It reminds me of talking to new players about loot filters, and you'll see the parallel in just a moment here.
Oh, for sure.
I tell new players like it's like
I already see the parallel.
It's not too hard. It's not too hard. You can do it. Loot filters are one of the best part of the game. They're not one of the worst parts about the game. Like this is one of the reasons I like the game. And so pop it open, like it's okay. And it feels as though, with regard to loot filters, that my job is like damage control from people who have played Path of Exile in the past. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like a therapist, just like, it's okay, take a deep breath. I played PoE before. I've been hurt before. Like Laz Debug is not so difficult. 4. Yeah, right, sure.
The same thing, but
like
D4.
But like this kind of like this handholdy stuff, like, dude, just like play the game. Like you can do it. Play the game, batter your hands, eat the tartar sauce. I got distracted. What are we talking about?
Oh, I said we can just let me just show you some gameplay here. Like you're watching me play the game, right? So I use Bone Curse on a pack. And then I use Chaos Bolts.
Yeah, but you didn't talk about it.
Hard? Is that hard to understand?
Do you? I don't know.
And then you also see someone following the channel, which you should do, by the way.
True. Make sure you follow.
It's just, oh goodness gracious. Okay, sorry about that. When one underdog story isn't enough, shut up. But yeah, let's.
Dread's in the wrong. I don't know if Dread's in the wrong here.
Am I in the wrong?
You're expecting people to like listen to the words you're saying, focus on the words you're saying, and then also watch the gameplay that's going on.
Well,
you know what you can do? Dread, try this. Try having gameplay footage and not talking over it.
Yeah, maybe I should do that.
Try that.
Maybe I should do that.
See what's going on.
Start the video. Just start the video. Just don't talk at all.
Did you know? Try like some A/B tests or something.
You know what?
I feel as though people are scared to make mistakes.
If I'm in the wrong for this, then I want to be in the wrong for this because I have respect for human beings. I respect their ability, their own autonomy to make their own decisions and choices. To rip that away from someone, to rip away their choice would be effectively like ripping away my own my own freedom, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but it's just like I like to at least respect people a little bit, like isn't it kind of disrespectful? Like when you're trying to do something and you're trying to like work on something and the person keeps popping in. It's like, no, you got to do it this way. No, you got to do it this way. No, you can't put 5 minions on your bar. You need to put Dreadshade there. No, you need to put a movement skill on your bar so you don't fucking die. No, you need to put armor on your gear. No, you need to use right base types. No, you need to put damage on your gear. No, you need to not play minions because they're terrible right now.
I think people are afraid to experiment. Like, respecking in last Epoch is easy. It's not easy at level 10, but like it's easy like, you know, level 15, 60, right? Once you get in the game. Yeah.
I love
it's okay
this
to make
comment.
mistakes.
This is my favorite one. This is my favorite comment out of all.
If you're having problems with Torment Warlock, then action RPGs might not be for you. Toxic, dude. Toxic.
All right, here you go. Here's an interesting one. One of the 17 seconds ago, by the way.
No, this person's in Twitch chat. Okay, go ahead.
One of the builds I played, which I think was straight out of Max Roll, was some Dreadshade Fire Turret minion. Yeah, yep. Flame Race. Can't remember the name, but let's just say for a Necromancer, that build had a lot of buttons to play to be effective. That's a good question here, right? They're talking about drain life to get mana. That's a question in general. It's like, does last Epoch require you to press too many buttons?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
You could say that. So I would say that because one of my talking points in a build guide is like, is this a good streamer build or is this a button intensive build? That's always one of my talking points. And like, I would definitely say this. Like, I don't like that build because it's very button intensive.
Well, ignore this part. Like, who cares? Like, Max Roll's a good team. I know them. They're great. This build is a build I've played before and made videos on. Like this specific build. This is like every build in last Epoch.
It's above average.
That goes into the higher, like, you know, corruptions. I mean, just like the complexity part about having, like, you know, using your skills, like, you know what I mean? Like that part. Like every build is like that. If you're not using your buttons, you're not doing damage, right? Like if you're playing that build that you were playing the other day, the hammer throw build, if you're not pressing reversal, you're not getting 3 times the damage, right?
True.
If you're not pressing void cleave, you're not reapplying your thing. If you're not
like your
hammers,
skills are spec'd for a reason. If you're not using it, you should spec something else instead. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, like that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like that's why I get annoyed by comments like this. It's like they're like maybe. God, I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say that. I was like, maybe last Epoch isn't for you.
Somewhere in like the last 10 minutes, Dredd just got really. He's like, you know, fuck these YouTube comments.
Well, no, I just get annoyed when people want, like, my problem is like I don't like it when people want to be handheld because that's not what I want to make.
Here's what we do. We take that last sentence that you just said. We clip it, we put it at the very beginning, we fade out, we fade in, and then we say like, hey, everyone, welcome. Look what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
Give me one more comment and then we'll wrap it up.
Give me one more comment? Yeah.
Only one more. Dread never holds my hand.
Dread never holds my hand.
You save that for the tier 3 subs, dude.
I want to read this one just because the game isn't too hard. Honestly, it's in a pretty good place for difficulty. New players that come over just need to take the time to learn builds and actually read how to play them and practice instead of just copy pasting a build and expecting it to play the game for them. I like this one.
I love that.
Thumbs up this man.
One of my one-liners is you got to sign in, dude. Come on.
Oh, I love this one. So I was complaining. Remember in the video when I was
use weaker items in your build guide.
Yeah. Remember when I was saying how do I make my experience look worse so I can feel how a noob feels? Use worse items.
Yeah, you could. That's how to make people click on your YouTube content. So they have garbage builds. What was I gonna say? About it. Hold on. The game's not too hard. Yeah. So this is another one of my one-liners that I give to people. Is I agree with this person. Like you only get to be a new player one time. As soon as you like start playing the game, like you're no longer a new player. You no longer get the thrill of like learning something new for the first. And like that's why it feels like Christmas come early when Heartseeker gets added to the game, or when the Sentinel rework gets added to the game, or like when these new because like, you get to learn something new for the first time, but you only get like little tidbits of it because that's what the patch has, only little tidbits. When you're a new player, everything's new. And like I make build guides, you make build guides, I make a lot of content, but like if you're a new player, fucking don't watch it. It's just like, that's the secret, man. If you're a new player, just like go load up the game, kill some monsters, have something that feels good, have something that feels bad, try to fix the problem yourself. Maybe it works. Maybe you get 2 empowered monoliths. Maybe you kill a Harbinger too. Maybe you find out, man, that fucking Harbinger was too tanky. And then you go like, oh man, maybe YouTube has some stuff for this. And then you can start doing build guides. But like, you really only get to be a new player once in any video game that you play. Like, you're not dumb. Not you, Dread. I don't know if you're dumb, but like the audience, you're not dumb. Like, you can do it. Give it a shot yourself, see what happens, and then you'll know what problem you're trying to solve.
I like this comment in chat. Why do you make builds then? You actively don't like your audience?
True.
The people who comment are like maybe like 1% of the entire people who watch. Remember, most people watch YouTube videos and don't comment. That's why this is such an enigma, by the way.
100, yeah. That's a lot of comments, dude.
It's an enigma, by the way. Because like normally I'll like upload a build, I'll get like maybe 20 or something like that. But like, you know, like in comparison, the people who comment are like very low percentage amount. Kind of like how people who watch Twitch of a video game is a very low percentage amount of people who actually play the game. Right?
I like it. Let's wrap this up. So all in all, is Last Epoch too difficult?
Apparently so.
Is it the Harbinger's fault?
Is it the Harbinger's fault? A little bit. Okay, maybe. Oh no, you know what? I don't think it's the Harbinger's fault. I think it's all of the actions leading up to the Harbingers, in my opinion. Like all of the content leading up to the Harbinger's fault. I don't think the Harbingers.
It doesn't prep you well enough for it.
Yeah, the problem with the Harbingers is like they are the first time we've actually had content that was actually designed to be difficult, right? That was actually designed to be difficult. The rest of the game hasn't really been designed to be difficult enough, and EHG's been kind of clutching on corruption being that difficulty, right? So yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm having a good old time memeing with Twitch chat on second monitor here.
Yes.
But the main conversation, the video, reading these comments has been fun. Reading the live Twitch comments on twitch.tv/PerryThePig, also fun. We should do this again sometime. We should make more videos.
Yeah.
Chat, you should comment on videos so that we get more content like this. It's a good time.
Yeah.
The content machine must go on.
I think that this comment pretty much sums up everything that we feel from reading all of these right here.
Harbingers.
The problem I've had is 90% of the game is easy enough to use any build, like Cinder Strike. Remember, Cinder Strike isn't a bad skill till you get to empowered monos. Then you get to your first real challenge after 20 hours, say. Then you realize
if you're playing Cinder Strike and you fight your first Harbinger, you are going to stop playing Last Epoch.
Yeah, you probably
full stop. You're going to be like, wow, fuck this game. I'm out.
Especially if you choose like the Lagan one first.
Yes. Completely agree with that sentiment. All right, I'm going to stop the recording. Yep. We'll do this again sometime. See ya.